When I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
Put my hat up.
I'm from South Carolina, so I just...
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Mars?
Oh, my heart,
Happy 20th anniversary.
my heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Done.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself.
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it for all the more.
Letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
Welcome to Be More News and WKIM. I'm Marsha Jews, and we are so excited because we're celebrating Doni Glover and all of the wonderful work that he's been doing for so long. And I just want to let you hear a few things about Doni. Sometimes we just see him on air, but we don't always know all the work that he's been doing. Donald Morton Doni Glover is the CEO of DM Global, a media, marketing, and public relations firm. He founded in 2002 after his stint concluded at Empowerment Baltimore Management Corporation, the $100 million federally funded empowerment zone charged with helping transform parts of East and West Baltimore. There, he served for 3 years as a public information specialist. Prior to that, Glover was editor-in-chief of the Sandtown Winchester Viewpoint newspaper, a community-oriented publication that reached the 72 square blocks of this historic West Baltimore community from 1994 to 2000. A. Ronald McNair, honors graduate from Coppin State University with bachelor's degree in English, media arts, broadcast production, and technology. Glover actually began his academic career at Morehouse College. At present, he's working to complete his master's in international affairs at Morgan State University. His ultimate academic goal is obtaining his PhD. For the past 2 decades, the award-winning journalist stars in the world of media has certainly risen. With over 20 years of news talk hosting under his belt at Radio 1 WOLB 1010, Glover has since taken his show to the web via YouTube and Facebook. Speaking of which, Glover has clearly demonstrated how social media can propel one's reach to a modest 211,000 followers. In any event, Glover has used his platform, including his flagship, BeMoreNews.com, to highlight and bring attention to the developments in the Black community as they unfold. While Baltimore News, primarily News Beat, is Baltimore City, it also covers major Black enclaves, including Northwest Baltimore County, Howard County, Prince George's, the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and D.C. Further, Glover has covered news across the country, including 36 visits to the White House, as well as on-the-ground news coverage from Ethiopia, Tanzania, Jordan, Jamaica, and Canada. Be More News' agenda has always been the same: Black business, public education, ex-offender services, affordable housing, and universal access to health care. With that in mind, most every major politician in the state has been featured on Be More News, which boasts a YouTube library of over 4,000 original clips. since the onset of Be More
600,
News.
lady, 6,600.
Oh, so it's changed. Okay, so that's old. This is an old document.
And
Well,
4
66
dozen trips to the White House.
Oh, well, listen, why don't you let's just do this. Why don't you just tell us what you've been doing and why it was so important for you to be able to inspire others by looking at the work that you've done, that you go to all of these places. Why are they so important to you? Why is it so important that what made you to say, I'm going to the White House? What makes you say that I'm going to go down to the governor's office and I'm going to report from there? What was in you to make you want to do that?
I would have to say my father. You know, as a young child, he would have me listening to the Rowan Report. You remember the Rowan Report? With motive journalist Carl T. Rowan.
And he was serious.
And he would make me listen to, this is Paul Harvey, and now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah, that's right. And that's wonderful because these are Black commentators and journalists.
Paul Harvey's not.
I thought Paul Harvey was. So we listened to him on the radio in South Bend.
No, he's a white guy.
Okay, well, that's information. He sounded like a Black man.
He had flair.
He had flair.
He had a style to him. I mean, radio, when you think of radio, and radio is different than television. Television, you have the visual. Radio is, you got to be a tad more creative. It's theater of the mind.
So what led you to social media? How did you get here?
Alexis Coates.
Really?
Yep, 2008, 2009, he said, you need a Facebook page. And then also Jakey Oliver. He said, you need a Twitter page. This was 2008. Did you know that LinkedIn is older than both Facebook and YouTube?
I didn't realize that.
People sleep on LinkedIn.
I like LinkedIn.
And you know what you don't get on LinkedIn is fake profiles from people who want to be your friend requests. You know, you don't know what you might get on Facebook. Strippers.
Where'd that come from? You just grabbed that out the air.
They got a lot of weirdos.
I'm frozen on the screen.
Yeah, you are. Well, you're moving on this one. I can see you. Just keep going. Oh, damn. So somebody doesn't want this interview to happen because we've had a challenge on her network. We've had a challenge on this one. But we're going to keep going. And that's, you know, in this world of internet technology, you have to keep going. What can go wrong will go wrong. And you just got to keep swinging. That's essentially it. So we're waiting on Marsha Jews to come back, and it was interesting. Not that long ago, she was saying the same thing as I froze up on her screen. But nonetheless, we have a celebration going on this Thursday. It's the birthday. Okay, there's my interviewer.
You want to just do this another time?
No, I say keep going. I was just explaining that in the world of internet technology, what can go wrong will go wrong. You just got to keep going. I've been hacked. I remember, so Alexis told me to first get in on Facebook, Jakey Oliver. But I met Alexis, when I first met Alexis Coates, a dude.
Okay.
My website had been hacked. So with Be More News and now Black USA, I've been through everything. I've had to learn how to build it. While I'm not a technician, you learn to do as much as you can for yourself. Otherwise, you got to pay.
That's right.
Now, I will tell you this. Long story short, Fiverr, Fiverr. Get some cats from overseas that charge you pennies on a dollar, while these cats in America trying to rob you blind and don't even know the latest stuff. That's the thing. How you gonna stunt? and you're not even up to par.
I know what this logo is from Fiverr.
Your logo?
I am. Yeah, it's Fiverr. And I think it costs I gave them like $25 for it.
Don't tell nobody that.
Oh, okay. But I did. And I think that Fiverr is a great place. You just got to find the right artist. And, the thing of it is, my next thing is to go and do my website.
I recommend it. I've tried to support my Black designers, my white designers, my American designers. Fiverr.
Oh, I know. Everything I do is coming out of Fiverr. And, and they work with you. They take their time. They'll keep doing it over and over.
What does that say about us here in America?
It says that we want what we want when we want it. We don't care.
No, that says that we're not as up to par as we think we are.
What do you mean? Because that it costs less to be on Fiverr?
I mean, people pay you. You make, okay, a pair of Nikes, was it Jordans. The only reason they charge $200 or what have you for a pair of Jordans is because some people are willing to pay for it. Enough people are willing to pay for it that they can keep the price up. Timberlands. I remember for years, people were paying over $100 for a pair of Timberlands. It's a $20 boot at best. And when people stop paying that amount, the price comes down.
Right.
When people stop paying exorbitant prices for houses, the price comes down. Right now, it's inventory everywhere. Maybe not the houses that everybody wants, but it's a buyer's market.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way the game is played, they raise interest rates and this costs more. We overcharge for stuff.
Well, because we think that if you spend big money,
you got some greedy people,
and you got all those commas, then that makes it better. That makes it wonderful. That makes it better than anything else.
But then you have an economic crash, like 08.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Obama came in, he had to clean up all of this mess. But it was, a big part of it was the corporate CEOs on Wall Street who are making exorbitant salaries while their employees can't even get health insurance. Mm-hmm. So greed is going to be the
United States. That's the United States, and it's coming from those corporate titans, quote unquote, who want what they want.
Corporate bandits. They're more like bandits.
Well, yeah, they get what they want, and they don't care who they gonna roll over. It doesn't matter to them.
See, that's what other societies get. Asia, the Indians, they understand the communalism aspect. But we're so individualistic in this country. It's me, myself, and I, not realizing that what affects me affects my neighbor.
But they don't care about the neighbor because
so we have to show them. And I think it was Dr. King that said that Black people in America are the moral conscience
of the world.
Starting in America, the most segregated nation on earth.
Right. And you have a lot of people right now who are going through all kinds of changes, trying to deal in some of these southern states. And I see that the Alphas said that they're not going to do their program, their reunion down there, their whatever it is, enclave or something. They said, forget it. We're not going to Florida because they're being racist down there.
I don't think we can afford to stay away. I think we need to go down there and show up en masse. Mm. I was with the boycott thing at first, especially when Trayvon happened. But as I started researching my second book, I Am Black Wall Street, I realized that's our place. I'll be damned. Our people fought, died, bled for this place. I'm not going to let no pea-brain racist stop me from doing anything in this country. They don't have that kind of power. They do not make the sun come up. They do not make the sun go down. They have zero power. They think they do. The media paints this picture, and then all I can say is, don't let your president get your hiney whipped.
Right. That's true.
Like we saw down there with the plantoon.
So let's talk about 21 years of Be More News. This is really exciting.
Let's talk about Montgomery, the brouhaha.
I want to talk about Be More News.
That is Be More News. That is the most current situation that everybody is talking about across the country.
So go ahead and talk about it, Donnie.
No,
the brouhaha.
I want to talk about Be More News.
What made you decide to create Be More News?
I was writing the Sandtown Winchester Viewpoint newspaper from 94 to about 2000. And people started paying money. I observed that people would pay money to put ads in the paper. And I like money.
Was this still online or was it an actual paper?
Oh, hardcore paper, 48 pages every month. 48 pages. I was making $8 an hour.
I love it.
But I quickly realized that people were paid to put ads in that paper. And we had like 5,000 copies. And I delivered them door to door in Sandtown and East Baltimore.
I love
And I remember when I first started sending the newspapers, taking the newspapers to East Baltimore, certain powers that be were like, why are you going to East Baltimore? I said, because they could use this news and information too. And little did I know that my dad and my mom, their entrepreneurial characteristics were deep in my soul.
Right.
So I guess I was laying the foundation for something citywide here in Sandtown.
Mm-hmm. And now it's global.
It's not just about Sandtown. You can't just talk about Sandtown and not talk about Harlem Park, about Upton, about Druid Heights. I got mad love for East Baltimore. My first memories are over there. So I can't not talk about historic East Baltimore, Oliver, Greenmount, Dunbar. I'm a Dunbar poet.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, 2 years of Poly, 2 years of Dunbar.
Mm-hmm. And, I think that sometimes we start one way. I know that I was going to be an artist, and then all of a sudden the world around me created the environment for me to be able to do and see more about me and to dig deep into my spirit of who I really am and what I can give to the world. And it's hard sometimes to find your niche that has your comfort zone. What would you say are the most difficult challenges that you've had with this paper?
With Be More News?
Yes.
The most difficult challenge.
Mm-hmm. We didn't have any challenges?
I had a bunch of challenges.
Oh.
But you said the most difficult challenge. Mm-hmm. I want to give you an intelligent answer. I don't think you should just say the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
For instance, advertising. Advertising is the fuel that runs your news operation. I'll tell you this. In 21 years, maybe 3 or 4 times I thought, like, to hell with this. Let me go get a 9 to 5. Especially if you meet, you meet somebody and, you want to date them and they're like, well, what do you do for a living? You're like, I do.
And then
it was a song out years ago, and the guy, he wanted to open up a barbershop, and the lady's like, it might have been, go away, little boy. Run away, little boy. But whatever it was. So I've had to believe in my dream when nobody else did. I've had to believe in this when it seemed like it was very difficult, because I never stopped believing it could work. So the 3 or 4 times that I thought to quit, it was about money. And I submit to you, I swear to you, I got a phone call or a knock at the door, and they both said the same thing. I remember it like yesterday. They said the money will come.
Yes. Yes.
And it was enough. It was like God was talking to me. I'll tell you, it was a knock at the door and it was a phone call. Out the clear blue, the money will come. Mm-hmm. And I am here to be a witness that the money will come. If God gives you the vision, God will give you the provision. You just got to stay consistent. So you say that what was the most difficult challenge? I would say being consistent, being professional, believing in yourself. So I don't know if there's any one thing that was the biggest challenge, but because you get, especially when you get hacked, I'm not a techie. So you got to go find an Alexis coach. You got to find a Will Hobson. You got to find somebody like Javon who can work their magic and protect you so you can get your stuff back up. Somebody hacked me once in the middle of an election. They had all of these vicious things about the Jewish community. And it's like, they very mean. Social media, Facebook in particular, they have a way of wanting to categorize outspoken Black people as this or that. And I had to let Mr. Zuckerberg know that you can't do that to me. I'm not they tried to paint me as against community standards and all of this hogwash. And it's like, go away, little boy. People want to control the message. So for me, what's most important is that Black people have a voice, even in America. We know the history of America. We know the history of the interaction between Black people and white people. We know the history. We know that not all Black people are your friends. We know that all white people are not your enemies. In my second book, I Am Black Wall Street, 2 heroes, one of which was a white man, John Brown. I love John Brown. When I go to heaven, I want to see my parents, my grandparents, and all of that. But I want to see Harriet Tubman and I want to see John Brown.
Why?
Because they were freedom fighters. Harriet Tubman had her freedom. She had her freedom and she risked it and went back. And that's where, what's his name? Michael Zuckerberg. He kept saying, they put up some thing, Harriet Tubman didn't free 1,000 slaves. Check it out, little boy.
Right.
She freed, according to Wikipedia, 72 people. There's a quote out there that says, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they were slaves.
Right.
One scholar came to me and said, well, she couldn't have said that. Fine. But here's the math. She freed 72 according to Wikipedia, but she also freed 800 with the help of the Union Army down at the Combahee River in South Carolina. So 800 plus 70, that's 870. So that's close to 1,000. And that's good enough for me. And it's like, it just sickens me that parochial pea-brain people want to tell our story. Go tell your own story. Matter of fact, go learn your own story, because I'm here to tell you, I'm going to tell you something right now that most people do not know. And it would change the way American media would be received if we all knew this one basic fact. The oldest American was a Black woman named Luzia, L-U-Z-I-A. Go look it up. Don't take my word for it. L-U-Z-I-A, Luzia. You Google Luzia, L-U-Z-I-A, and Brazil. Just Google it. Oldest American, 12 to 14,000 years old. But America and the pea-brain people who want to take history out of, take all of the Black history and all of the wicked things that racists did to Black people. There we go. See, they go dropping the stuff. They want to take all of that stuff and they want to reduce us down as if our story started and ended with slavery. And our history just did not start nor end with slavery. It just didn't. And if you believe that, then you are confused. Black people were in the Americas long before Christopher Columbus was even born. Out there in the Arizona desert, there's a place called Kincaid's Cave. And Kincaid's Cave, you would know about Kincaid's Cave and the African reference. Have you ever, you've been to Vegas. I mean, you've been all over the world. In Vegas, they have this hotel called the Luxor. The Luxor Hotel is shaped like a pyramid. And you have to ask yourself, why in the world would Las Vegas have an Egyptian-themed hotel? Well, I'll tell you, because I went down in there and I asked them. In the Arizona desert, there's a place called Kincaid's Cave. The Smithsonian knows all about it because they try to suppress it, just like they went over to Egypt and they Dr. Livingston, they stole King Tut and took him back to England and all that stuff, digging up our ancestors. How you like if I dug up your damn ancestors? Son of a gun.
Because they want to see what they can steal from us.
Okay, but that's the whole thing. That's all some people do is steal, steal, steal. They don't contribute anything. And then they want to tell you your history.
Which is crazy.
Well, anyway, in Kincaid's cave are Egyptian artifacts, which go back thousands of years. So black people been coming to the Americas long before Christopher Columbus, thief himself, was even born. I tell you something else people don't know. Black people were running the Iberian Peninsula, where Christopher Columbus came from, for 800 years. Portugal, Spain, that's the Iberian Peninsula. Let me show it to you on the globe.
Oh, you got the globe.
Yeah. This Africa, this, oh, you can't see it. Well, that's Africa, that's all of that. Black people were running that for 800 years.
Right.
So we were running the ships. We were sending people to and fro. And that's another thing. They don't know that we build ships. I mean, some people think that black people, we are the first people on earth. What do you think we were doing when we were still, in diapers?
You ain't trying to figure out how to steal from us.
What do you think we were doing? We were building empires.
Right.
And that's why I have to do media, so as to tell our beautiful story.
And
because
the story is
not enough of us know our story, and that ours is the first story. And not only is it our story, it's the story of humanity. Man's solution.
And when you say humanity, that's huge, though, Donnie, because that is all encompassing.
Some people don't want to acknowledge who daddy is. The black man's the oldest person on earth. That's your daddy. Everybody got a black daddy and
Whether
a black
you like
mom.
it or not.
Get over it. The oldest DNA on earth comes from the San Bushmen of Southern Africa. The oldest DNA. Go look it up. The Chinese try to disprove it. The Indians everybody try to disprove it. All they ask come from the San Bushmen in Namibia. And thank you, Robert Scott, my Morehouse brother, for enlightening me to that historical fact.
So, Donnie, in looking over the next 5-10 years, what's happening with us as a people, and what should we really be doing as we move forward?
Okay. Well, considering what happened down in Montgomery, the natural eye would say you better get yourself an automatic weapon.
An automatic weapon. Why I need a gun?
Because there are people who are scared that they're going to take a lot more of those hind part whippings. There's some people who are in denial. We are not going to be your punching bag. You can't keep treating people like that and expect them to just let you slide.
But we can't just let it slide. We have to really deal with the reality. This is 2023 and we're still having a conversation.
They need to deal with the reality.
But how do you, they're not ready to deal with the humanity,
That's their problem.
the reality.
That's
they're not ready
problem.
for that.
That's
they're not
their
ready
problem.
for it.
Okay, well, okay.
So how do we,
still
function in that environment?
White people, good white people have to step up.
But do they want to be that?
Well, they have no choice.
That chasm?
They have no choice. Good white. Edmund Burke said the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do, for good men to do nothing. And I want to give the Unsung Hero Award to the white women who jumped in there to help them white men as they were getting stomped. It was stupid. I do not recommend that. But I love loyalty. And it was like they had more heart than the men because they jumped in because they didn't like seeing their men, but they should have corrected their men before they even went out.
That's
a long time ago, hundreds of years ago.
Right. So what's
but the man? Too often the white man does not respect the white woman. I mean, when you think about the suffrage movement, white women, they were just a step above in the class system of America. Black people.
but they want to do what they want to do, and they think that
But,
they
but
have the power and the intellect to do it, and they
no,
can't
they don't.
stand the
No, they
fact
don't.
that we're
No,
beyond that.
they think they do. You see, it's all mental perception. It's self-perception. Some people have been looking in the mirror too damn long. Some people don't look in the mirror at all. But the fact is, we are all interdependent on each other.
But how do we move the needle?
I don't know that black people need to do a damn thing. I think white people need to step up and start checking themselves. You can't treat people any old kind of way and expect them to love you. I don't care who you are.
You keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're not going to, you can't get different results. If you do the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same results.
Like a drug addict, we are addicted to racism. Some people actually think that they are better than somebody because of their race. That's stupid. I mean, that's the dumbest crap I've ever heard in my life. Your skin color makes you better than somebody.
What used to really bother me when I was growing up in South Bend, Indiana, that we'd go to school after the summer vacation, and all the white kids were coming up trying to show us that they got a suntan, and they want to put their arm next to yours to show you that they got a tan.
A lot of white people need therapy.
Seriously.
Because if you have been living a life of privilege, you need therapy. You need to sit in a class with Dr. Jane Elliott. Jane Elliott breaks it down. I love that white woman.
Yes, she does.
She breaks it down. But it's too real for some people, because remember the white people who they got locked up for paying for their children to go to a special college.
Special college. Mm-hmm.
Some people are of the mindset that money can buy you anything.
No.
Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire, and he died in prison with a rope around his neck.
Now that's serious.
We hear Marsha asking questions about our future. We want to hear her answer questions. We want to hear her answer questions. I was saying, like, Tamira might need her own show. Tamira, we can get you your own show, but just so you know, she's interviewing me this time. I don't know. Marsha, what are we doing here? Why don't you just...
We are interviewing Doni Glover because it's 21 years with Be More News, and we've had a little technical difficulty at the beginning. So if you missed us, this is why we're here. And also the fact that Doni Glover is my brother from another mother, and I love him and all that he's doing. I'm just amazed. And he sees himself doing it, and he makes it happen. And we need to have his voice, and it goes far and deep and wide. And there's far too many people who really don't want to uncover the truth. And that's his slogan. And so what I wanted to do was for him to just sit and share with us why Be More News is so important, and why 21 years ago he needed to create this. And so we're now talking about where we are today and how far in those 21 years, what all he has accomplished. He goes to the White House with regularity. So he's able to bring, and that's just one place. You don't know where he's going to pop up in the country or in the world to do his show. And he's bringing information to us comfortably, and the way we can receive it on a regular basis. And I just wanted to have him sit with me and you so that we could hear some of the things that he's done and why he did them and why it was so important. And so, Doni, as we look at your career in these 21 years, what do you see for the future? What do you see in the next 5 to 10 years? What is the direction this nation is going in? And we know that Be More News will be there to cover it, but you're also seeing things and analyzing what you see and what the landscape looks like.
I thought that we thought he was in. No, it's the other way around, Tamira. So I was talking with Tanya today, and AI, artificial intelligence.
It's
That
huge.
seems to be the big thing worldwide.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you, when I was at Coppin, and let me just shout out that program I was in. It was called a Ronald E. McNair Post-Baccalaureate Achievement Program. And you got a full scholarship. You had to go through these grueling classes, summer work. They paid you, but you had to promise to get your PhD. So I go back to Morgan in 2 weeks to begin to finish up my master's degree, and then I'll get on to a PhD program somewhere. All of that to say that around 93, Professor Ron Nichols had us read a book, and it's right over there, Megatrends, and also Megatrends 2000. And they're both by John Naisbitt, and they pointed to technology in terms of industries, and geographically it pointed to the Southeast Pacific Basin, China. In 97, I was writing about Hong Kong's reversion back to China. Hong Kong belonged to the United Kingdom for 150 years as a result of the Opium Wars. In other words, Great Britain strung out China on the opium and took Hong Kong for 150 years. They got it back in 1997, and back then the question was, will China know how to run Hong Kong? And it's like, okay, the West, white boys were saying, oh, China doesn't know what to do with it. And it's like, I learned about this concept called Confucian capitalism. First of all, let's be clear. China has one of the oldest continually operated civilizations in the world. America, for the record, is what, 250 years old? 250 years versus thousands of years. Dynasties. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, go sit down, little boy. Well, anyway, if you notice, China.
And let the grown folks talk.
Yeah, China's already in the United States.
Right.
Let me tell you how. Who owns TikTok?
China.
So if they on your phone, they monitoring every damn thing
Everything
going
you
on
say
here
and do.
anyway. Now, what you hope is that America has some type of TikTok over there. And I guess because, China ain't letting no Facebook up in there, ain't letting Zuckerberg up in there. Zuckerberg can block black people and take Donnie Glover's page with 200,000 people, but he ain't doing that over there in China because Lee, him, and Young Kim,
And those bazillion people.
they got him on lock. So they're up in our ecosystem with the technology. They own a lot, and they got a bunch of people. You know how many people in China?
Billions.
No, not billions. Like,
really? I thought there were billions, like at least a couple billion.
no. How many people in China? All right, I had it on quiet. How many people live in China?
In 2021, the population of China was 1,412,360,000.
They got 1.4 billion.
Well, I said a billion.
How many? You said billions. How many people?
Well, that's 1.4. It's
How many
billions.
people in the U.S.?
In 2021,
300 million.
That's not.
They got a billion more people, meaning they can send 1 million people over here with suicide vests on to blow us all up and just take this land. You know what I mean?
How did we get to that?
I'm just saying, because we go around like
So Be More News is going to go over and talk to the Chinese so that you can get a good report and bring it back.
Dennis Rodman was able to go over there to North Korea and talk to Lil Kim.
Well, you can go over there and do a great report from China. I think you should make that happen.
Slow down, partner. Slow down.
That's not what you want to do.
Slow down, partner.
I think it'd be very interesting, though.
Slow down.
I think it'd be very interesting.
Well, America like throwing people under the bus. Like, what's his name? The Snow guy, and he defected to Russia. I am American, And I ain't gonna be bragging about somewhere I've never been. I need to see where I go. Ho. I ain't just don't just leaping out there. You don't know what's going on.
So Donnie, as you look into
This is my country. Okay, I am American.
But in America, how should we be raising our children, and what should they be looking towards their future? What should they be doing? And how is journalism being sent to them or provided to them so they understand that at some point they're going to have to carry the torch, right? Or pass
I
the
think
baton.
racism is dismantling because more and more white people have black grandbabies.
Okay. That just came out of thin air. Just pulled it. But you just pulled it up there.
You know, it was illegal for black people and white people to be married. I interviewed this cat last week. His name is John Blake. He wrote this book, More Than I Imagined, What a Black Man Discovered About the White Mother He Never Knew. This guy went to my junior high school, Lamel, and he's now an award-winning CNN journalist. His brother was in my class, Patrick. We all played James Mosier baseball. What he talks about is having the discussion. And white people need to start having the discussion because they've been living in a paroque. Not all, but too many have been living in a tunnel.
With tunnel vision.
Yeah. Time to wake the hell up. All of that you were living is fictitious. Mm-hmm. And see, money has protected you from reality, but the reality is you ain't no damn better than anybody else.
But what do you do about all the Trumpsters?
You send them down to Montgomery, Alabama on the river. They need to be baptized in the name of the Father, the Mother, and the Child.
And the Holy Ghost. But seriously.
Definitely the Holy Ghost. They were baptized, and it was a baptism.
But how do we deal with it? Because that ugly head has risen. How do we deal with that now?
White people need to start having a discussion. Stop being in denial. Tell the truth.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to accept the truth. And, you know, somebody who was that said you can't handle the truth, some movie 100 years ago.
Jack Nicholson.
Yes, you can't handle the truth. And so, you know, you're looking at babies that are now, you know, clearly mulatto. We're looking at Black folks that are taking major leadership roles in corporate America and education. How do we make certain that we still protect ourselves in this environment where we still have
let me play this for you.
We still have Trumpsters
listen to this.
waging wars.
Massacre, the chocolate thunder from down under. So basically, if you haven't seen the video, go to Twitter and watch multiple videos because you have to watch this from multiple different angles because there's so much going on. One black security guard went and asked a group of white dudes to move their pontoon so a big boat could come in and let the passengers off. Well, they took high offense to that and started whooping the absolute piss out of this dude. And I mean, they're giving this dude the business. And if I recall, there was one guy trying to help him out, but he was getting the business too. And that's all it was just asking them to move their boat. It was after a Trump rally. These guys were drunk, and they weren't having any of it. It started out with like 4 of them, and then one dude comes off the stairs with like a flying knee and hits the security guard with it. And here comes 3 or 4. It was like 9-on-1. But all of a sudden, out in the distance, you see one guy jump off a boat and start swimming towards the dock. Once he gets up on the dock, there's quite a few others that come and follow him. It's like, all right, we ain't going to let this stand. They go over to the boat that the guys are on. Man, they lit these dudes up. And I guess the dudes that were getting lit up's girlfriends started coming off everywhere trying to fight too, which was a terrible idea. It went from 9-on-1 to like 45-on-12. They got the piss beat out of them, son. were throwing girls in the water after they got whooped on, and they was just beating me pissed. There was guys jumping in the water to get away from them. The greatest part of the whole thing was the older fella who picked up the folding chair like WWE, started running after people, and everybody was getting the business, son. It didn't matter who you was. He was smacking folks with his chair. And one lady got knocked out, just kind of sitting there dazed. He come up and just crushed her, son. I haven't seen a better swing since King Griffey Jr. was playing. Cops were watching. They were basically worthless, but, you know, they're supposed to be stopping the fight, but they understood that it was not a fair fight. That dude got treated pretty bad, and they just let it rock and roll until that poor lady got hit with the chair, and then it was over with. I mean, they had to do something or they probably would have got fired. What was really upsetting was that there wasn't one white person that jumped in to help that poor dude. There wasn't one dude there that jumped in to stop all the other white guys from whooping the shit out of them. I don't care what color you are. If you see somebody getting beat up on unfairly for no reason and you don't do something, you're just as equally guilty. It may hurt for a little while. You may get whooped up on a little bit, but hey, man, you may save somebody's life. Jump in there and throw some hands with some folks. Quit being so scared. But I hope it's a lesson that they learned, which I'm sure they didn't, but I hope they did learn the hard way, that you don't mess with folks. If somebody asks you to do something that's only going to take 5 or 10 minutes of your day, go do it. That would have taken 10 minutes of their day. Don't do wrong to others and expect to get an easy ride, because you're going to find out the hard way. God bless y'all for helping out that poor fella. Y'all be good people. So I've been asked.
And that young man's name is Tristan.
And this is where?
TikTok.
Mm-hmm. You know, too often.
Tristan Fawcett. And I want to commend his parents or his grandparents for raising him to be a decent human being.
And that's key. That's key.
We need more people like that, because we've seen it in all races. It's easy in America, black, white, blah, blah, blah. But I watch a lot of movies. I've studied a lot of films, documentaries. The Japanese and the Chinese, they are not best friends.
Right.
The Hindus and the Sikhs, they ain't the best of friends. The Sioux Indians and the Apaches and the Cherokee, ain't like they all hang out and go Easter shopping together. It's people thing. But in America, what's enunciated is that black-white thing. I love what he said. More white people have to step up. It's nothing for black people to say.
Right. Right.
It's like watching a domestic violence situation. Dude, you've been smacking that lady for a long time. Then she come back and she put that thing on you, and now you got one eye, and you talking about I'm a victim. No, you should have never put your hands on her.
In the first place.
In the first place.
In the first place. Because you don't know what you might be drawing back a nub. So, right. So Donnie, 21 years.
That was deep. I see you struggling, and I gotta thank Tanya for sending that to me.
You see me struggling what?
It's unbelievable to see something like that.
Right.
It's so rare.
It's more than a notion. You know,
but it should be rare. It should be all the time. The way media reports on our community, and that's why I got into media, because the media, white mainstream media, always paints this picture. Look at Fox. They do it every day. And they got Kyle Jackson and Patrice Sanders doing their co-signing that bull every day. Black people.
Because they want a job. They need to eat.
They got a runaway slave
need to
report. It's called the fugitive report. The most vicious criminals in Maryland. And it's always a black guy. And I leaned on him so hard on this and in my commentaries and editorials that you have the audacity to have a black federal agent, a black man, talking about all of these top criminals being black. Oh, pimp. We are 30% of the state of Maryland. I know of them 70% non-black people.
Have you talked to them about their reporting?
They know what the hell they doing.
Well,
the racist
that they're getting paid, but they're getting paid, right? And they're black, but they're getting paid.
They're participating in painting this stereotypical picture.
Perpetrating a fraud, huh?
It goes back to D.W. Griffith and The Birth of a Nation, the first feature film in this country in 1917. They know what they're doing. Remember the sheriff? It was 2 sheriffs that got killed up in Harford County. A white man killed them. You never saw the white man's picture on television. Never.
No.
The Ford brothers down in PG County, they had a shootout in front of the PG County police station. Before they went to jail, their picture was on the news.
Right.
We know how these damn racists get down, and it's sickening.
Yes.
And we're tired of it.
It's real.
A la Montgomery. We're sick of it. We're sick of your foolishness. Stop it.
But as a people,
and Donald Trump, he need his ass whipped. Somebody ought to just whoop his ass. They ain't got to send him to jail. I want to see somebody whoop his ass.
But he has too many Klan members around him to get whipped.
Assholes, and don't let your president get your ass whipped. And I hate to use that vernacular on the show. I'm trying to keep it clean. But that's what he needs. Somebody, his mother or father should have whooped his. All he needed my father for one night. He would be a different person. My father said, take my clothes off and go run your bath water.
What?
Yeah.
And then there's that. So, Donnie, what do you see for the next 10 years?
The black people better take education seriously. We better stop shopping and buying up all this stuff. We better get some real estate. We better learn some Bitcoin and other investments. We better get a passport. We better go to Africa. We better go to Cuba. We better go to Jamaica and Dominican and Haiti. We better expand our vision way beyond a trip to Mondawmin Mall and a jumbo half and half and a chicken box. It's time for us to grow. Nobody's going to fix our plight, but it's time for us to get some farmland. It's time for us to grow some vegetables. It's time for us to start securing some access to mountain water, the real water.
Yeah, yeah.
It's time for us to stop believing that the white man's ice is colder.
Because it's not.
It's time for us to stop believing that the white man's ice is colder. It's time for us to start loving our brothers and sisters. It's time for us to start forgiving family members, the ones who you want to whip their ass to. It's time to forgive them because life is too short. If you can forgive them, because some people, they just crossed the line. And if you say they out, don't let them back in.
But there's also a way that we have to talk to one another so that people can receive what we're saying. Because we have to be able to create an environment where families are first and how we grow and develop.
America has threatened the black family. I don't know how it is in the white community. I'm not white. I know they go through everybody goes through similar challenges, but in the black community, from child support to baby mama drama to not being married to not owning. I mean, we got those in our community that will pay $1,500 a month rent. And I'm not paying nobody $1,500 a month rent. That's mortgage money. $800 a month is mortgage money. We got to get back to some common sense. And if we don't know, we got to start seeking out people who do know. Really, I believe in being the brokest one in the circle financially. I want to be around people that have more. Right. If I'm the richest one in the room, I need to haul ass.
You're right.
Damn right.
And too often we're so busy being busy buying crap, making other people rich.
We got to start making stuff. I was
right.
just at a meeting with Rashid Aziz. He owns Citywide Youth Development up on North Avenue. He manufactures clothes, and I made sure that he's coming to the 21st celebration. He might even bring some of that Made in Be More clothing to the event this Thursday at Collins Seafood, Black-owned restaurant. We got to start supporting our Black-owned restaurants. Yeah. And if you have a Black restaurant like Darken and Blue, where the owner is acting like a jerk, then we need to pull him to the side and say, yo, you're a jerk. You need to tighten up on your backstroke. And maybe we'll bring the Black Wall Street back down there. Because some people, they think Some of us think we can just treat people any old kind of way.
And it don't matter.
Hey, I'm gonna take my business
Elsewhere. To somebody who cares.
Treat me with respect, and don't make me put this pen
my
on
dollar.
you. Don't make me put this pen on you, son.
Because we do know that you will.
Ask the politician. We need to get engaged with our politicians. We need to know the difference between our 2 U.S. senators. That will be Van Hollen and Ben Cardin. Of course, we're getting ready to replace Ben Cardin. We need to know who our state senator is and our 3 delegates. And we need to know who our city council person is.
Well, I like my senator. Corey is wonderful. And he's Corey, he's in my district. On the east side.
The Ravens. We know who all of the Ravens are, but we don't know who our elected officials are. We don't know that our elected officials on the state level got scholarships. I got $600 from my state delegate, all because I called Senator Hayes. He said, well, you know, you passed that deadline, but you want to call Delegate Marlon Ampry. I did. I filled out this long application, but I wanted that money, and I got it. To God be the glory. There's a lot of money and resources out here. We just got to go and get it. I just filled out an application last week for $20,000. Might get it, might not, but at least I tried. And that's something my dad said. And I really want to share this, Marsha, with anybody listening. Get out there and try. Get out there and try. You might get it.
Right.
But you will miss 100% of what you don't try.
That's exactly right. You've got to be focused on what you want to do. And if you even don't know what you want to do, talk to somebody that you know knows. That's huge. And don't be afraid to be honest with people. You know, I had several women, I think I've told you about them, that were really wonderful. Margaret Armstrong, Hilda Ford, and Carol Seibel. And the information that they gave me, being my mentors, having mentors around you, is huge. And too often we don't know what we don't know. So we have to identify those people who we see as role models and bring them into the fold. And you've done the same. You have mentors.
People and you have to mentor others.
Yes. It's a cycle. We have to do it.
My daddy said it like this: with a closed hand, nothing gets in and nothing gets out.
That's right.
With an open hand, there are endless possibilities. The moral to the story is to help somebody. You can't get a blessing when you're holding on to dumb stuff.
That's right. And being greedy, that it's all about you, opposed to about us.
On that note, I want to thank Dr. Tyrone Taborn.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Marsha, Gene Hamilton, Jakey Oliver, Charlie Duggar, Joy Bramble, the people in media, Kenny Brown,
yes,
the main man.
Yep.
The many people who have helped me.
But you've helped others, and we thank you, Donnie.
But that's how it's supposed to go.
The circle continues.
Hassan Giordano, I want to body slam him sometimes, but
that's your man.
That's my man.
You can't change that. That's right.
Catalina Bird.
That's your girl.
I would rob a bank with Catalina Bird.
Yes.
And you're gonna be the getaway driver.
I know, because you know that we do be driving.
She drive, y'all.
Yep.
She drove me to New York one day from Baltimore City. Round trip was an hour and a half.
You're telling that. That's not true.
Round trip. We're in Baltimore, Manhattan, Baltimore, because she was trying to get rid of me that day.
It was freezing in New York, too.
Oh, it was cold. Ooh. But she bought me a skull cap because I was a little cold.
It was like really freezing.
On the water. And not only that, y'all, Marsha Jews traumatized my German Shepherd. He's still, you all right, Pharaoh?
Oh, I don't traumatize Pharaoh. Pharaoh loves me. What? Look at his tail. He's wagging his tail right now. Hey, Pharaoh. How you doing, boy? Pharaoh. See, in a minute, he'll start barking.
Let her
This is a thing.
Big ups to Kamal Hubbard. This is so I wanted to tell you this, Marsha. When the pandemic happened, December 2020, first of all, you had the idea probably 2 years prior. It was before the pandemic. And you were talking about getting a building over on North Avenue somewhere and starting this network.
Right.
But then you started pimping too much, and it was like, come on, Marsha, I can't. Because Marsha, you dream and you dream big. You know, you remind me of somebody else. You just dream big, and the thought never left me. And
it's boarded up now. That building is boarded up, and all scribble scrabble graffiti is all over the building. He would not give us that building. And it now, if you look at it, it's right on North Avenue and St. Paul.
And that's the thing that gets me about the city of Baltimore. We allow these slumlords to leave vacant properties and keep them there for years. But let me just go back. In December 2020, pandemic, we started BlackUSA.News, and Kamal Hubbard right here was one of our shows from the Bay Area out in California. He does a show called Black Crypto. So Kamal, I did send you 2 pieces. Check your email. And I got a little sidetracked. I'm a little focused on school and, family and all of that. But I did get it there. And what's the day? Wednesday? No, Tuesday. We're supposed to have it to him Sunday. So I'm 2 days late. But Kamal, and he went from this network to a bigger network. And he now comes back and contributes. Big ups to Doug Blackshear. Doug Blackshear. I mean, what a phenomenal guy. Everybody's taking a little summer hiatus, but the broader point is that the idea started with you, Marsha, on having a network with people from around the country. And, I was out at Radio 1 for 21 years. And then all of a sudden one day they started charging me. And I said, I'll be damned if I'm going to give you $800 a month. I'm not a sharecropper.
For your content.
I'm not a sharecropper.
Right.
You ain't pimping here. I'm from North Avenue. If any pimping going on, I'm gonna be doing the pimping.
That's right.
You're not gonna pimp. I'm not paying you nothing.
I agree. Let me say this to you, Donnie. You have just out-visioned yourself. Like, you start with a vision, but it's much bigger than where you started. And I'm so proud of you and so excited for what you've done and how you've brought everybody together. I think it's huge.
But you've been a great teammate, Marsha. You've helped me. You've listened to me. You wipe my tears. You wipe my tears. You laugh with me, and we keep each other going.
That's right. That's right.
And so you need a team out here. I mean, shout out to Corey down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I remember when we first rendezvoused around 2006.
And you've got a good team around you. You've got a good team. And, teamwork makes the dream work.
Don't Catalina Bird seem like somebody that should have been in the movie Set It Off? Remember Set It Off when they robbed the bank?
Yeah. Oh, she your ride or die for real. She ride or die.
Because she's wicked with the zinc pen.
And she uses it.
She's wicked with, this is the gun. This is the gun. This is what more of us need to do. And we need to go to the schools and be more a part of our children and grandchildren's education.
Well, I think that's a sidebar conversation, and we should create something. Because the woman who's in Baltimore City superintendent needs some assistance.
Aren't you best friends with her? Sonia Santalisa's, Andre Salonzo's mentee? Is she like your best friend? Don't y'all like sip wine together? Rose? Okay, my bad. I confused you with someone else. Okay.
Clearly.
Why don't you like Santalisa, Marsha? Let's flip the script a little bit.
Well, the reality is that the Black children that are attending the public schools in the Baltimore City should not be under her charge. And she is making $400,000 a year, and far too many of our young people are not learning. They're not reading, writing, and doing arithmetic. And We have far too many young people who do not have access to the internet. They do not have computers or the equipment at home or books. And it's at some point, Mayor Brandon Scott needs to really look at this woman and look at her outcomes. And I think that she needs to be replaced. We need somebody who cares about our young people, not about their ego.
So you don't like her?
I don't even know her. I don't like what she's doing on her job, and that children under her charge are not learning or receiving the information and the equipment and the education that they need from her in that seat at $400,000 a year.
That's a lot of damn money.
Yeah. And the outcome isn't what we need. We need our children to have people in leadership who are going to change their lives and the trajectory of
who love them. Who love them.
Right.
We
and
love
this
ourselves.
woman doesn't. And this
We
woman
love
doesn't.
ourselves.
Clearly, she doesn't and doesn't care. I was so glad my daughter put my grandson in homeschooling. It's horrible. And it's shameful that we allow that in this city. We're so busy having a artscape or some kind of other party. Everything's a party. We got to go have a party somewhere. We got to bring people together. We got to have music. We got to dance and laugh. We need to be handling our business.
No, and don't forget the Instagram.
All of that. It's ridiculous. But it's time.
We got social media politicians.
I don't have time for that. I mean, I really have thought about moving back to New York.
Cleaner.
It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And it's time where we need to deal with the leadership here and what needs to happen for our children, for our communities. We shouldn't be going through all of this. What's happening with the police department? It's crazy.
Yeah, they cleaning up active crime scenes. You know, down there in Brooklyn, they cleaned up the STEM City USA.
Oh, after that party.
Yeah. Yeah, STEM City, that's a part of the future. The metaverse, Dr. Taborn he's been working to close the digital divide in our communities for
over 30 years.
30 years.
Over 30 years.
Yes, it is an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
And he's touching a lot of people. I mean, this show won an Emmy nomination thanks to Dr. Taborn, and we get to reach even more people. So, yes, it's an alternative, and we can be a part of it. I mean, Kamal knows this is a rhetorical question from him because he knows that Bitcoin and other, e-money can be used to finance things that the traditional banks have historically not invested in our community. There are other ways to get the money.
So you need to interview Kamal in STEM City.
No problem.
Yeah, and I'd like to interview you, Kamal, on my show.
Yeah. Now, the challenge is he's on the West Coast, so that's 3 hours difference. Now, I come on at 9 a.m., and I'm not all that thrilled about waking somebody up at 6 a.m. Unless he's already up. So.
All right. Well, you could always do it another slot or take a slot on my schedule in the afternoon if you'd like. You're still going to go to STEM City. He said, no, that ain't what you're doing, right?
I know. I mean, that's why I like you. You're a pimp. And when I say pimp, let me just say, you either pimping, you either taking charge, or somebody taking charge of you. You either at the table or you're on the menu.
I'd rather be at the table or at least coming in the door.
I want to be at the table. I don't want to be on the menu. We have been on the menu. We have been consumers. We have financed everybody else. Do you know that all black people got to do is say, this is the brand, and then that brand becomes real popular, whether it's liquor, whether it's tennis shoes, whether it's clothing.
That's right.
We make everybody else rich.
Yep.
It's time.
Seriously. With no joke. Right.
$1.5 trillion in annual disposable income and invest it in ourselves.
I think that's a whole show that we should bring some finance people together and do a round table.
It just takes one person. You start investing in your community and you teach somebody else to do it. And next thing you know, you got a
each
whole
one teach one.
ecosystem.
What you used to say, each one teach one, right?
We got to get back to basics and stop believing, you know, too often we're chasing somebody else's definition of success.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
All right, Marsha, it's getting late. You done wore me out.
And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And happy anniversary. Be More News.
So
Thank
let me
you.
just say this is the birthday. And because we do marketing, the anniversary ain't till December. And that will come, you know, we will have a nice little ticket price on that.
Uh-huh. But in the meantime, on Thursday, what are we doing?
Happy birthday, Be More News out at Collins Seafood. And if anybody's hungry, you know, I'll treat you to something to eat, but y'all should be treating me this time because I done treated people all along. Yeah, come on, buy me a damn crab cake.
And the food is excellent.
Yeah, Valerie Fralin is coming through. You can't have a party without Valerie Fralin.
I know, because she's the anchor.
Virgos.
All right.
You
Love
know,
you.
They party animals. They can't help themselves.
I know. And it'll be a pumping good time for real.
Valerie Fralin is the party animal.
The party queen.
Yes, she is.
All right.
Thank you, Marsha.
Donnie Glover. Thank you, sir.
Ashe. Have a great day.
Ashe. Take care. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.